is over thousands of years, discrimination. What was a difference became a discrimination. So, it is a social phenomena, it has got nothing to do with Sanatana. It's a terrible phenomena, it's as good as apartheid if you look at it, or as bad as apartheid, I'm sorry. That by birth, who you are and what should happen to you, what should not happen to you is determined, which is a terrible thing to do. So essentially, we want to move towards a society or a nation where we don't care who your father was, we only care who you are. This may sound very offensive to a lot of people, my father was this. Whoever your father was, we respect him for that. But with respect to you, with relation to you, who he was should not be something that you benefit from or you suffer from. Who you are must be who you are. So this is a society we want to build, this is a society we always had in this land, but over a period of time, people made differences into serious discriminations where unfortunately even today in our villages, the discrimination is stark and painful, very, very painful.
And it affects life chance.
It…
So-
oh, it
there are
just
people
puts you in
who
a
say-
pit that you can't get out of.
And our constitution, of course, provides for this affirmative action. And that the state must provide for the most backward, etc., must give incentives and so on and so forth. Now there's a new debate. And that debate is,
No, let me explain this context. I know what the question is, but what I'm trying to tell you is, see, when you want to bring equality among the citizens of a nation, first thing is there any discrimination by law? I think we've settled that largely. There are a few things which we are fighting for, but rest of it we have settled. So by law, equality has come. Social transformation needs to happen, which a government cannot do. Government can set some norms, but government cannot change your mind. Your mindset cannot be changed by the government. This has to happen with education, with integration, economic development, more than anything. See, wherever people of whatever caste group they were, in their village they were discriminated, they moved to the city, most people don't know who their caste… what their caste is, nobody ever bothered to even ask, all right? Here in the yoga center, there's so many people, we don't know what religion they are, what caste they are, we never asked, as long as they're focused on what they want to do. So, this discrimination that's gone on, instead of attacking the discrimination, you're trying to attack the difference. Let me tell you the positive side of the caste system. The caste system, the moment I say this, there are a whole lot of people who are going to pounce on me.
I was also a bit surprised.
Yes, I'm
Positive?
saying, see, this is the only social security we have had. I'm telling you, in everywhere, even now, it's happening in the villages. When my grandfather was there, anybody from our caste, children from remote parts of the country, they want to educate, they can come, he's built one chowdhury, they can stay there, they're given food, they're given clothing, they must study. Only thing is they must study. They put one warden who will make sure they study. But only for his caste, all right? We are doing similar things without asking anybody's question, caste or religion, that's a different matter. But he was doing it that way because that was the social security.
So the Prime Minister came up with an interesting slogan before a series of elections that took place, and he championed the "Ek hand go safe hai" look. You might have heard it. There was a big reference and a campaign launched around it, even in Maharashtra and then subsequently in other states. Now, there had been a reaction. I'm not particularly making this political, but others also have said, oh, this is an attempt at building a monolithic Hindu identity.
We must
which
build
goes
a
against-
monolithic Hindustan identity or Bharat identity.
Yeah, but they say that this is an attempt at making a… You see, he's only playing to the Hindu gallery and he wants to create a monolithic Hindu identity which basically militates against the inherent pluralism in Sanatana Dharma. So what is your interpretation of this?
See, I don't like the word monolith because you'll be a rock. A rock doesn't go anywhere, all right? A rock doesn't go
Story
anywhere.
of this rock.
The story is, because when we built this meditation hall, which is called the Spanda, I wanted a big rock here, but we had no rocks anywhere around. So we had to transport it over 250 kilometers, it's 135 tons. And without any great technology, with just oil jacks, they brought it here and landed it here. So
It is stunning in its monumental sort of, this voluminous thing. It's so solid, it's actually quite beautiful.
it is.
But yes, we were making the point, I didn't mean to take you off.
So I'm saying, I don't like the idea of monolith when it comes to populations. But if they're using the word monolith as a unity, I think Bharat should become a monolith of citizens of Bharat. What they believe in, what they don't believe in, what they practice, what they don't practice, who their father was, who their grandfather was, or they didn't have one at all, I don't care. Today, the citizens of Bharat, in their language, must be one monolith. In terms of geographical and national sovereignty issues, ek hai to safe hai is fantastic.
Yeah, but the point with this is that this
I
is what they
understand.
say.
They're trying to…
It's from blue.
Huh?
They say, ek hai to safe hai. Safe from who? Who are you trying to say you're safe from it, if you unite? So this is what they're saying, that the Prime Minister is trying to other minority…
Whatever. I don't want to play into the political insinuations that are there and also intentions that there may be, it's fine. All I'm saying is, then who's asking from whom, don't understand how a nation survives. Why do we have a million-strong army? Why are we investing billions of dollars into military equipment and military stuff? Why? Because there is always a living threat. We are not still living in a world where we can all hug each other and be done with it.
That's,
We are not in that kind of la-la land.
that's
So, it is very important as a nation we are one. So, to bring that, anything that comes in the way of that should be brushed aside, it doesn't matter who says what. Today somebody desperately wants to win an election, they may say whatever they want. But as a nation, the people of this nation must decide that we must understand as a nation, we are definitely ek hai to safe hai. If we don't do that, we will be very sorry.
rise up. Sadhguru, you often stated that Sanatana Dharma is not based on one specific belief system, and around the…
Not one
the
specific,
campus,
there's no specific…
there is no specific… exactly, no specific… I stand corrected, that's very well put actually. And I see it. Here, there are so many different symbols, there's so much pluralism. However, this openness sometimes leads to internal clashes. There are differences, sectarian differences. How does Sanatana then compete with other more organized traditions and faiths? You can't sort of come around to agree on one principle. The others are very organized. And if you look at it as a race between different faiths to try and win over people, some other people have an advantage.
That is the beauty of Sanatan. It's not built for competition. It's not a racing machine. It is a machine to evolve individual human beings. It is a system to evolve you as a human being. It is not a system to put you and me together and we can become an army and beat somebody else up. That is the beauty of Sanatan, don't ever destroy that. Because generally religions in the world are designed… this may… people may think this is very controversial and whatever, but the essence of it is geopolitical ambitions wrapped in religious garb. That somebody wants to conquer the world by their own belief system. Everybody should become my kind. Means what? I want everybody to become Indians. What does it mean? The whole world, including the Eskimos, should become Indians. What does it mean? That means we want India to conquer everybody. So if I say I want everybody to become Hindu, I want everybody to become Muslim, I want everybody to become Christian, Jew or whatever, what does it mean? It means a conquest. And well, the symbolism of sword and stuff is always there, nobody has even bothered to hide it, it's very open. So, leave that alone. The important thing about this is, where are we going as a humanity? As nation, we have troubles. Now, whatever these people are talking is relevant to some extent because it is true, there are certain threats and whatever, you've seen things happening in our neighborhood. And we know we have, though your generation might not have felt it so much, we have seen… I am not alive at that time, but I know people who went through partition and their experiences were narrated in such poignant way to us when we were children. It was, it shook us from inside. What happened? Not a simple thing. What happened in the name of partition? Partition was not just division of property. It was a loot and rape of a civilization where people from here are going there, people from there are coming here, trainloads of dead bodies, women and children, oof, you can't even talk about it. That kind of horror. So somehow we put it behind, we should put it behind, we shouldn't try to carry that bitterness in our heart. But we don't learn from that, we will be silly, stupid, I would say. And unfortunately, we've been stupid. We've not learned from that. We are working towards that once again. So…
When you say we, who are the we?
As a nation, I'm saying, as a nation, we should have learned.
Again, I don't want to be controversial and I don't want to sort of provoke anybody, but look at our neighborhood in the subcontinent. There are aggressive nations who, as you said, always look at things in binary terms. So, I mean, how do we protect as a majority here? There is the state, should we have a Sanatan board?
Let me come to that.
Speaking about this Sanatan board business, I don't know,
Let me come to that. So, when heaven starts collapsing, what is the option that you have? Naturally, you look for solutions here. If you look for solutions here, Sanatan is the only way. Only thing is, you have to present it in a little, you take away the cultural aspect of it and present the truth about it. When we say Sanatan, we are saying something that's eternal. Can something be eternal without being all-inclusive? Only that which is all-inclusive can be eternal. So, in terms of people wanting to find solutions, this is a civilization which has looked at the human mechanism like nobody else has done. I'm not saying this from me being a citizen of this country and my love for this nation, whatever, not that. You look at this, anywhere in the world, have human beings spent as much time and energy at looking at what is the nature of a human being, how does it function, how to make it beautiful within itself? Nobody has looked at it. Everybody is saying, go to heaven, everything will be okay, and heavens are collapsing. So when heavens collapse, it's the time for Sanatan. But they won't like it right now. Oh, you want me to become a Hindu? No, I don't want you to become a Hindu. I don't want you to become anything. That is being Sanatan, that I became nothing. I'm here whichever way. Right now, they've been told there is another place up there. If you go there, you will become free. And your idea of freedom is unbridled pleasure and whatever other kinds of stuff. But essentially, you ask any human being, as a human being, does he want joy in his life or misery in his life? Does he want freedom in his life or bondage in his life? He wants freedom. But right now they've told you that is the only place where it will
and
be.
Unfortunately what…
So I'm saying that that place is collapsing in people's minds, you need to understand that.
I'm beginning to obviously, as there are of course our children who have quite a pessimistic view now of what lies beyond you. And
no, because even you don't know what lies behind, you've just been bullying yourself, you're trying to bull them.
Yes.
And I'm glad they're not taking it.
Yeah. No, I mean, they said, what kind of earth and leaving us? So I said, but there is a greater… They said, no, actually we have to live another 70, 80 years, and you made a mess of this place. You can't breathe the air,
I'm saying whatever this
climate
issues, environmental issues, they do what you want, they're going to ramp up in the next 25, 30 years' time. As they ramp up, heaven will start collapsing even more rapidly, okay? People will understand unless we create a suitable situation for human beings to live here, you can't live here. You can distinctly see this even in theocratic nations. you see there's a significant change.
Yeah.
Just look at Arabia, look at America, big change. Though they were all based on… even today they swear upon God for everything, but things have changed, isn't it?
Things have changed. Of course, there are ebbs and flows, and right now we're in a bit of an ebb, especially
No,
with
right
regards
now,
to
the way the heaven religions which sell tickets to heaven can only thrive in a population where there is poverty. This is why economic well-being is very important. Very, very important.
So let's investigate this a little more. This is a great thought that you got on to. Look, I mean, when you're talking about economic need and necessity that sort of make certain people sound more persuasive than perhaps they should be, like Mr. Donald Trump, will become US president. He came in on the basis of saying that, look, I'm going to make America great again. I'm going to put the bread at a cheap cost on your tables for everyone to eat. We can make things affordable again. And he's looking again at the world in binaries. Sanatana, of course, treats the entire world as a family. He's sort of looking at it a little bit of a binary, and he says, look, illegal immigrants are coming here, they're taking our resources.
Let's get this straightened out,
Yeah.
Rahul. See, we are talking about democracy.
Yeah.
Democracy within the sovereign nations. Democracy is not global. He is not elected as a president of the world, nor our prime minister elected as a prime minister of the world. Sovereign nation. So fundamentally, people of that nation have elected you. It's your business to make that nation great. It is just that he is putting it out in the face. Always that's how it is worked, all right? Every leader is working for his nation only. At least this guy is putting it out, plastering it on your face and says, America first initially, now make great again, is a subtler message than America first, all right?
Yes,
Isn't it? Let's make it great again, let's make our country also great, let everybody make their countries great. Because we've still not come to that a place, let's make the world a great place. That's just a handful of people who don't have any power like me.
But many people say, to Prime Minister Modi, when, we've talked about many ways of trying to sort of curtail illegal immigration into it, there's a problem. We don't have we don't have infinite resources, we have finite resources, we have a huge population, we have to look after our
The
people.
thing is,
but I
we
want to
have
ask you, because-
4% of the world's
So
land.
what do people say? They say, oh, we are being Islamophobic. If Bangladeshis are coming in illegally, well, don't kick them out, don't have an NRC, don't identify them, don't kick them out. Sometimes the Supreme Court says, look after them in nice, places where they can live. They don't have to be deported cruelly, they don't have to cut back in shackles, etc. You know how that goes. So what's your response to the larger?
If they are not persecuted in another country, if there is no serious persecution based on their religion or race or whatever, even Hindus should not be allowed to come into India, because we have 4% of the world's land and we have 17.6% of the world's population. We don't need one more extra guy. Do you understand? Whoever he is, we don't need another extra guy, because we are putting so much pressure on the land upon which we live. We don't need any extra people from anywhere. So if half the population in Bangladesh wants to come here, for what? For economic opportunities. We can make some kind of economic deal with them, that we can have open borders, we can go there, they can come here, we can start businesses there, they can start businesses here, like they become like an autonomous state. They can run their politics, not our business, they can run whatever their country, but like economically, like European Union has come.
Soft ball, yeah.
So when you… not soft borders, I'm saying a union of some kind. This needs to happen in the world, but right now if I speak looking at the present situation, you will think it's impossible. How can India-Pakistan become one, India-Bangladesh become one, India-Nepal and whatever, Burma can become one? But you must see this, we have not fought as bitter a war as the Europeans fought in World War I and World War II. Whoever thought that the French and the Germans can sit together at the same table? Whoever thought the Italians and the Germans can sit? Whoever thought the Spanish and the Germans can sit together. Was it even possible? Who ever thought the British and Germans could become a union? Now of course they fell apart, but they became a union. So I am saying after such a bitter war like World War II, like no other war they fought, all right? But today they are one union because they see sense. There's no point, the land is one, the stupid lines that we draw are not the thing. Geographically we are separated as continents, that's a different matter, but this. So somewhere we need to work towards this. But when there is too much economic disparity, we cannot do that because the poorer segments of the population will rush in and destroy everything that we have created, so that problem is there. But this integration needs to happen.
If you have to then tackle a situation where people are coming in the multitudes and we don't have infinite resources to support them, then you have to begin the process of identifying. Trump is doing it in his country with a lot of help from ours. We are bringing back people. The method of bringing them back is irking a lot of people, but I'm not going there right now. How does India do this? Because the moment you use the word NRC, alarm bells go off. Many people say this is wrong. We should not be embarking on this. Our culture doesn't tell us. We are Sanatana.
Which culture are they talking about?
The Sanatana culture, they sort of read a chapter in verse back to the government of the day.
No. See, it's not that India cannot do it, even Trump cannot do it. It's estimated, the minimum estimate is around 11 million people. See, they dropped 104 in the first airplane, the second one 119. Today, I think yesterday, they have come in. Tell me, how many planes does it take to evacuate 11 million people? But other estimates say, in Trump's own words, it's around 20+ million, all right? 20 million people, how many airplanes? America's coffers will become empty.
I wrote a piece actually breaking down the
So, I'm saying nobody can do it. Once you have allowed it, it's very difficult to do it. It's just that you can prevent it from further happening.
So, many people also believe that demography is destiny,
100%.
implying that the nation's future is shaped by, its population. With declining Hindu population in certain areas and, there is constant talk and people go out with census data and they tell you see this is a matter of concern and there are some responses, of course. There is, of course, what is known as the displacement of populations because of immigration, and then they say that there is replacement happening within our country, which is again inorganic, and that is happening because of conversions, that we need anti-conversion laws and so forth. And you know that those, when the moment a state comes up with an anti-conversion law, many people hit back and say, this is unacceptable. This is communalizing your response.
See, what an individual person does or wants to do, whether he wants to go to this heaven or that heaven, I leave it to him. But when you see a strategized approach which is supported by outside nations or outside organizations which are funding, then of course you have to put your foot down somewhere, which is what we're trying to do, the government is trying to do and many other organizations trying to do. But the important thing is, as I said, is economic development. When people are poor, money is heaven, The promise of heaven is there, more than that today's money, today's food, today's whatever needs that I have. So, when we have failed to provide for our own people, and we've also discriminated against them or whatever reason, and now people are trying to put a plier in that and further discriminate so that it can never come together, that effort is going on. We should not allow that to happen, but definitely economic transformation and to some extent a social transformation needs to happen. We cannot say it is not happening, it is happening. Is it fast enough is always the question. About people moving in from outside and taking over lands and stuff, well, in some of the states it's a serious concern, I'm sure everybody is aware of that in the country. But a lot of people think it doesn't matter. No, this is how this is what I said, one more partition should not ever happen. Integration should happen. See, even in 1971-72, when the East Pakistan got transformed into Bangladesh, in which, whether we want to admit or not, we had a very, very significant role to play in that. Even then, at that time, the partition was only 24 years old. What was the reality there? The partition didn't work
Right.
because the cultural distinctions,
Over the religious thing.
the religious… See, the religious means, it is not the religious thing. Even if religion's converted, the problem is the culture. Because the Hindu population maintained a certain culture and the Islamic population wants to bring the, transport Arabia here, it didn't work. When little frictions happened, they took charge of things and did… I don't want to even say those numbers, they're abhorrent numbers. What happened there at that time?
And I think that the point you made in the earlier question was an elaboration of that. But what I'm trying to understand is that how do you maintain this balance between spiritual freedom and the prevention of coercive practices, and still champion this anti-conversion law? So how does this happen? How does it work? And then I also want to ask you, because why are we being pushed to adopt these laws? Because perhaps some other faiths, they don't want to give up their aggressive style of proselytization. Do you think those other faiths have a responsibility towards Hindu anxiety, addressing Hindu anxieties on this score of conversion?
No, because see, they fundamentally believe their way is the only way.
Yeah.
So you can't tell them, be sympathetic to Hindu way of life, because in their mind it's abhorrent that you're worshipping this rock, you're worshipping the tree, you look at the sky and bow down, you see whatever.
No, but in India, we are supposed to… the Hindu faith is supposed to be responsible for the minority. We don't seem to put enough pressure on the minorities to also
So I'm saying in their
address the anxiety
fundamental
of the Hindu faith.
mindset, in their fundamental belief, your way of existence is unacceptable. You're a lost case, they're trying to save you, that's exactly the word, they're trying to save you. They're not trying to dominate you, they're trying to save you from hell, all right? So this is why initially when I started, when I said heavens are collapsing, hell is also collapsing. If you do not know this, recently about a month or a month and a half ago, Pope himself said there is no hell. He pulled the foundations because the whole thing is carrot and stick policy. Now the stick is gone, only the carrot. How attractive is the carrot? Is a question you have to ask. So describe the heaven as it is described then and offer it to all the young people. Do they want to go to that place? I'm telling you, it'll collapse right now, all right? So, this whole thing is about a fundamental belief system that our way is the only way. And that way, here, this life and how you live here is not important, how you go there is important. So Sanatan is about living here, how to live within yourself in a fantastic way. So, will this win? It will definitely win. Only thing is, we must have the sense. When I said, you must remember, you might have seen this controversy, when I was at the UN, I said, yoga is not Hindu. If yoga is Hindu, then gravity is Jewish. Oh, you know where I got the maximum reaction from? From the Hindu right wing, because they don't understand. They don't understand we are talking about Sanatan. Sanatan means universal. Universal means all-inclusive. Eternal means all-inclusive. Now, if we don't understand the cultural trappings we add to a fundamental, profound way of looking at life, people will not buy your culture. But the profoundness of what it is, definitely everybody wants. The whole world wants Sanatan, believe me. But you need to redress it. See, you're a Sanatani, look at you, how you're dressed. I am still like this, you changed. You looking like an Englishman, you're not shaved clean enough, but you're trying to look like an Englishman. It's okay, I'm saying. It's okay. For a presentation, you change your garb, but nothing in your heart changed. So this is important. Sanatan means a universal, eternal process. When we say dharma, let us understand this, we never talked about dharma as a religion. We talked about dharma as a law. But you must also understand, when Jayalalitha brought anti-conversion bill, it shouldn't have been called that way, because the law only said if more than 10 people convert in a given village, you don't stop them, you must report to the local collector, the district officer. What's wrong? The demographics of the place is changing, the authorities must know who is who. For that they protested. You know where they protested? You don't know where they protested? They protested in Washington, D.C. They didn't protest in Chennai, they didn't protest in Delhi, they protested in Washington, D.C. You get the message?
Well, let's just talk a little bit about population imbalance. Now, there is this, there's a delimitation exercise that they do. And people are already saying that it's going to create a north-south divide. How should such an exercise avoid being seen as an unfair one to the south that has had a better control over their population, that have been able to control their… How do you balance this?
The people of the south did not face the kind of horrendous situations that the people of the north faced. All the invasions, the worst of the invasions, the northern people took. Even post-independence, the wars that we fought, the partition that happened, all this, the worst happened to the northern people. So their sense of insecurity and wanting to reproduce more and lack of, a bit of lawlessness in their mind, all this is a consequence of historical brutality that they have taken.
Yes.
We have been the peninsula part of India has been safe, not so much. It's happened, things have happened, but not to that extent. We have still managed ourselves. See, still all our temples are intact here, taken by the government, but still intact here. They were not razed to ground. That level of thing didn't happen, except in a few places, but it did not happen on the scale that it happened there. So that reflects in the way people react to things. So let's not use that as a divide for the nation.
Andhra Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu has called for more baby birth to avoid being disadvantaged.
Human babies only?
Yeah. Yes, human being. So, what's your view on that?
Well, maybe he needs more Telugu people in his state, and anyway, see, we are looking at immediate needs.
We need more Indians. I don't know if
See, we are looking at immediate requirements in terms of, like we are looking at the problem that the Japanese are facing and some of the European nations are facing, that there are too many older generation people, no young people. Well, that means you're looking at the world only from the economic viewpoint. But right now what we need to look at is the dissemination of all the other creatures. You didn't hear birds doing this in Delhi. Where are all the sparrows gone? They're gone. In your childhood they might have been there, now they're gone. Not just that, the recent studies show 78% of the soil on the planet has lost 30% of the humidity. If 30% humidity is gone, zillions of organisms are dead. 84% of 84% of vertebrate population is gone. 92% of freshwater aquatic life is gone. You think it has no impact on your life? Future generations have no life here, we must know that. Responsible scientists are clearly saying that by 2045, 2050, it'll be extremely hard to live on this planet if we continue like this. So, we need to understand all this is because human footprint is very strong.
and expand.
Yes, and expanding. Our footprint of individual footprint also increasing in size and force. So we have to reduce the human footprint. I was talking in a in a poverty alleviation conference, international one, and I said, we need to reduce the human footprint. They asked me, how do we do that? I said, you have to reduce the number of feet. In the beginning of 20th century, we were 1.6 billion people. Today we are 8.5 billion people. So, glorifying this, thinking it's a great victory is a foolish thing because life on this planet happens as one whole.
I have to ask you, this mass outrage about what he said, etc., was it justified? Should he face criminal action at all? There is talk that he must be brought to justice, etc. He was.
I'm not an expert on this, I don't know if there is a law against such things, I doubt it. But as a society, I think everybody is outraged or disgusted. Some are enraged, some… See, when you see something filthy, some people will get angry and throw stones at it. But when you throw stones at filth, it'll splatter back in your face. Some people will create distance out of their wisdom, but both have happened across the country and probably in many ways across all human beings. Because this is not… See, unfortunately, this… I will use the word very consciously, these kids, because this is American style, you're 35 and you're a kid, all right? It's a crime. If you're 18 and you're still a kid, it's a crime for me. When I was 18, I was thinking of how the world should be, all right? You're 18 and you're not a kid because you have the power to vote and you have the power to drink alcohol, you have the power to drive a vehicle, you're not a kid. But this has become the fashion, you're 25 and you're a kid, you're 35, you're a kid, you talk irresponsible things and it's all okay. What is wrong in saying something? Don't we have freedom of speech? See, in this civilization, we have given enormous value to Vak. It's called Vak Shakti. What you speak has the power to shape the world, all right? Or has the power to distort things. Today, we are in a world where these people can make such statements and reach the whole world. The question is not about right and wrong, the question is about appropriateness. How you behave with your parent is not about right and wrong. What is that your father or mother, what do they have, what rights do they have beyond you? You can talk like this. I am also a human being, you're also a human being. You're just a few years senior, so what the hell? You trying to rag me by telling me what I should do, what I should not do? You can talk this language, but it's about appropriateness. Because 90% of what a human being is learned behavior. And if you do not respect those who are before you, that learned behavior will get distorted and you become like this.
Yeah, you talked about the human footprint going a steps, being debilitating to the environment, but it's also now beginning to have an impact on our wellness. And a lot of it is because of, this social media.
That is a great gift, don't blame that.
No, I'm okay. So that's a good point that you're making. That distinction is very important. And therefore, I want to ask you, it's what goes through this, what we put in there, that is a problem. So should there be stricter regulation about what goes in there which we consume through this wonder device?
See, that device is now advancing into what we are calling as machine learning or AI or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think it was very appropriately pointed out recently in Paris and whatever, that they are saying AI is not the danger. Who programs it is the danger. Whatever we teach, what is the input, that multiplies. This is just like raising a child. What you put into your child's mind and how they grow up will determine what kind of world we have tomorrow. So now, between parents and children, there is that boundary, that there are some things you don't cross. So, I mean, there are people who have assaulted their parents, there are people who have killed their parents for wealth and other things and whatever else. What is wrong? What is wrong? My father was doing wrong things, so I did this. That's not the point. We kept those things a little away because the human life is not dropped from top. See, if you were born as a tiger, you could kill your father tiger because what has he taught you? Nothing much, everything is by instinct, you know. But these kids, grown-up kids who never grow up, they need some growing up. How the country decides to do it, how the society decides to do it, is up to them, it's not for me to say. I don't believe in punishing people, I believe in transforming people. They definitely need some transformation. Somebody is giving death threat to them, that's not needed. But it may be, I don't think they intend to kill them, they just want to terrify them a little bit.
Sadhguru, thank you. Thank you very much for traversing a variety of subjects. We have spoken so often but never really met in person, so this is a great occasion and a very memorable one, and got to see sort of the beautiful centers for learning and dhyan that are on the Isha Foundation property. So thank you for having me. And we are speaking, of course, in the year of the Maha Kumbh. How does the collective energy of millions of Indians not only impact the national character but also the individual spiritual growth? You've been to 3 Mahakumbhs. So how is this impacted you, and what about the national consciousness?
See, when you say a nation's consciousness, we must look at this little more profoundly than just thinking, Bharat Mata ki Jai. That is there at one level. This was a nation before you recognized this as a nation. For thousands of years, people called this Hindustan or Bharat. Even when politically we were over 300, 500, sometimes over 600 political entities, but still we were one nation in the eyes of other people. You will be surprised that even today, both in Lebanon and Syria, there are thousands of women who are named as Hind, even today, okay? They're named after Hindustan, it's Hind. Because that was their dreamland, that was the place to go. Or maybe that is the place they came from and they never went back, so in memory, they are calling their daughters as Hind. So what is that entity, or if you want to call it as consciousness, what is that consciousness which made this land into one, though people followed variety of religious processes, variety of beliefs, variety of spiritual processes, variety of political establishments. In spite of that, what is that one thing? That one thing is this aspiration that is innate in every life. When I say innate in every life, if that snake was defying that, I'm sorry, but if you try to restrict an ant, it will do everything to become free. That guy got a little too comfortable with me and he's not going.
Yeah, I was surprised that you were holding this green emerald snake.
So, any creature in their own limited sphere, they want to be free. Nobody wants to be bound. In the human consciousness, this longing to be free is of a much larger perspective, that, well, when we are biologically threatened, we may think freedom is just this much. But once there is no biological threats of hunger, deprivation, war, these kind of things, our sense of freedom is we want to expand limitlessly. We recognize this not today, many millennia ago, that naturally a human being is longing to be free. But we are going in installments. But the ultimate longing is we want to become free from the very process of life and death. Because any process is a cyclical process. When we say a process, something is repeatable, it's cyclical. So to become free from that has been the fundamental consciousness. We call this Mukti, Moksha, liberation, Nirvana, so many things. So this longing is so deep-rooted in the consciousness of the nation that today it is on display. Nobody thought nearly 500 million people will go just to take a dip. Tomorrow morning, are they going to be liberated or not, maybe a question mark. But the longing, it's the longing in a human being which is more important than whether you did it or not. Because once there is a longing, Human heart moves in that way, you know. If you long for something very strongly, naturally you start moving that way. You don't have to every day think, I want to go here. You will start moving that way. So right now what you call as Mahakumbh is a demonstration, a manifestation of that profound longing. And so many have not been able to go. The unfortunate incident in Delhi you see today in the railway station, this shows the longing of the people who could not go. Unfortunate incident where deaths have happened, but it displays the longing of the people who could not go. If nearly 500 million people have gone, probably there's another 250 million to 500 million people who want to go, but economic reasons, health reasons, physical reasons and various other reasons.
There are people, historians, in the build-up to the Mahakumbh, and I'm not sure if you have read about this, but they have said that this Mahakumbh has no roots in India, the ancient Sanatana heritage. And many political notables have also sort of added a few more layers to this when they said that, this has been appropriated by the government of the day, and it's turned into a stage for a sort of Hindu revivalism. How do you address this?
Well, vested interests will talk in various tongues. I don't think it's worthy of comment, really. We are giving too much attention to these things. There are some people who will say, this land didn't exist, they made it up. All right, what to do with those people? And maybe it's true geologically. If you go back many million years ago, maybe it is true. But these are vested interests who'll keep talking. I think, especially election time, people will talk so many things. You must give them that margin and treat them compassionately, because when you lost your ability to impress the people of the nation or people of your constituency and that you're capable of doing something, you resort to these kind of things, which is unfortunate for them.
This talk of… I don't know if the history sort of bears this out, but historically, how far does the Mahakumbh take in our tradition? And are there references to it? I know that you yourself sometimes say that I'm not a scholar really of all the Vedas, etc. I haven't read them all. I mean, that's what you say.
Not read any, not all. I've not read any, so I cannot be talking about it, but references go back as far as any written texts go. Everywhere there is a reference. Well, there is Surya Samhita which is talking about this in a certain way. And the incredible thing is, today of course, the government is seeing it as also an economic benefit for the state, and they're propagating it, advertising it everywhere. You see in every print and television media, everywhere it is there. But just look back and see, 1,000 years ago, who was advertising? People still went there. Why? Because there is no knowledge about astronomical arrangements. This knowledge is not new for us. One thing we invested very heavily, long time ago, before others even knew whether the planet is round or not, they did not know. People did not know whether Earth goes around the sun or sun goes around the sun. Even now people some of them are still debating, all right? So when nobody knew much about these things in this civilization, we invested so much. And clearly we are describing, not only describing, we are talking about the exact distances that today modern measurements are showing, that it's almost pinpoint perfect.
Many have accused the government of only wanting to sort of shatter records and make this big sell that, look, our faiths attract so many people. And people say that this has happened at the cost of even risking the well-being of the pilgrims. How do you respond to this? Do you believe that the government perhaps over-invested in selling the Mahakumbh rather than looking after the people who are going to attend, the devotees?
Well, whoever is making these comments obviously has not been there. The level of organization and the way it's been done is beyond expectations, I would say, normally. We must also understand this is India, where people, if you allow them to drive, they will drive all over the road. they won't stick to their side of the road. Our sense of freedom is a little… Mukti is nice, but this is a little bit of a problem because I think we got dislocated from the world for nearly 2, 3 or maybe 500 years. When we were under oppression, we got dislocated with the rest of the world when they were beginning to organize. Our organization went bad because we were under occupation and they were not interested in what happens to us. So because of that, we're still going through that, even the railway station incident, the most unfortunate, and also what happened at the Kumbh. This did not happen due to lack of organization. People in their eagerness lost control over themselves. And I'm always seeing this could happen just about anywhere, in any function in the country, unless you manage them and you keep talking to them endlessly. And